So we're back to do the website, the web GUI side of finishing the pfSense install, and I just thought I would share some of the stuff I'm going to do, not all of it, but just to not take up too much of your time. But I am going to go ahead and snapshot my pfSense. So I know you guys are familiar with that in Hyper-V, but you just go to your virtual, you right click on it, I go to snapshots, take a snapshot, and I'm going to say that this is ready for GUI part of install. Okay, so that's just my pfSense there. Let me just show you some other stuff here. The snapshotting feature in ESXi is it's really good. So I just want to show you this manage snapshot. You can see that's where I'm at, and you can delete, and yeah, very configurable. Okay, so I did that, and that's why do I do that? Well, because it's a great way to recover. It's very easy to recover from that, incredibly easy. Okay, so here I've got. Oh no, let me show you one more thing. There are a number of different, as you know, we talked about this in an earlier video, but there's a number of different console options. You can open this, I'll let you play with them all, but I encourage you to play with them all. And they all seem to have an application for certain situations. What am I trying to say? A lot of times I use this one, and I use this one, and I use this one sometimes. It's kind of like what are you after, and how much screen real estate do you have? Do you have 2, 3 monitors? What do you have? And this is my overall favorite, but they all have value, and so you can pick the one you like. You can see here that maybe you can't see, but yeah, that's the VRMC, and then I'm ready to go. Let me just take a look. I'm on my Windows 10 machine. You can see that up here at the top. But if I open a command prompt and I do an ipconfig/all, you might be wondering, what did I put for like my DNS server, that kind of thing. First of all, let me show you that the machine's fully named, and this is part of this week, in that we want to do that, right? We want to have them fully named. We want to have them updated. And eventually here we're going to have them all with their correct IP address. That's going to be after we get pfSense up and running. Okay, so I've got my domain name here. I've got my host name. I've got a static address here that I assigned to it for IPv6. Got a same one for IPv4. Okay, my mask values. Gateway makes sense because PF1 is going to become the gateway, so that value makes sense. So the only one I really had to kind of give thought to was, what did I want to do for a DNS server? And you could do an internet DNS server at this point. We're going to install our own DNS server in an upcoming project pretty soon. But in the meantime, I went ahead and used PF1. That's, as you probably recognize, that's the address for PF1, and that's because pfSense provides DNS proxy. It does. It's turned on. It's built in. It's turned on. It's there. And so, if you make a request to it, it will proxy that on to a public DNS server once you get pfSense configured. Yeah, okay. Well, Randy, you kind of threw me there in the last part. Yes, and I did make a note on that, but when we go to finish where we're headed now, when we go to run through the web GUI here, we will need to come up with IP addresses for the DNS server that we wish pfSense to use. And initially, we're going to have to pick something on the internet until we get our own DNS server built. Okay, so when we get to that point in the video, I'll just pause the video and I'll come up with the addresses I'm going to use, and you come up with yours, and then we'll go forward. Okay, so this is a wizard warning at the top. The admin account password is set by default. Change the password in user manager. I'm just going to make a note to myself not to forget to do that. So I just made a note. Okay, welcome to pfSense Software. Netgate's the parent company. Okay, they offer support. Nice people. Okay, host name pf1. Domain name, mine is ak.bobstaco.com. All this stuff here that you can do, you can change later. All of it. Okay. primary DNS. You know, I'm just going to do a quick one here. 4.2.2.1. I'm just going to do an IPv4, and realizing that once I get my own DNS server up, then I'll switch it. But for now, just going to get myself a quick one in there, just an IPv4 one. Okay. pfSense hosts their own NTP server. Remember we did NTP setting when we installed ESXi. It's letting us, or it's defaulting to letting us use theirs, and we can certainly do that. And in fact, let's do that. And then we just have to find our time zone in here. I believe it's Los Angeles for us. There it is. Okay. Configure the WAN interface. We've already done this. Remember earlier when we were going through it on the console, I said to you could do it here, and you can, and this is where you would do it. But if we wanted to do it here, we would have needed to put a different IP address on our Windows machine that we're using to connect to it. We would have need to have used that default 192.168.1 dot whatever it was that it gave us. Okay. All right, a lot of stuff here, but these are two that need some explanation. Okay, so you take a breath. All right, let's take a breath. The top one has to do with where the firewall sits in relationship to the internet. Are you expecting private IP addresses to come in through the WAN interface? That's the question here. Are you going to allow 10 dot addresses, 172 addresses, 192.168 addresses? If you uncheck this box, then you're not creating a rule to stop private IP addresses. Okay, that's what it's talking about right here. And in some situations, we need to disable this rule. Like for example, on our site firewalls, because that you can get to the lab from the library on campus. The library is on a 10 network, and in order to enable you to connect from the library or from the dorms or from our you just go down the list of our networks on campus to get into the site network, which is an extranet. I need to allow this. I need to uncheck this box, and that allows 10 addresses to come in. Okay. But in our case, we are not expecting those addresses to come in. Okay. Now I know you're thinking, well, Randy, maybe I'm going to connect to my ESXi box from the library. Okay, that's different, right? The ESXi box itself is handled differently than your virtual world. So your virtual world is going to remain totally private. We don't want any 172 or 10s or anything coming into the virtual world. As we work through the project, if you get in a situation where you do need to do something from on campus using a 10 address into your network, this is where you come and uncheck the box. Or once this is done, there's actually a rule that you can disable. Okay, LAN IP address looks good. All right, admin password. This is that password that I emailed to you. Okay, so I entered it there. Okay, we're at step 7 of 9. 8 of 9. Okay, it's reloading. We finished the wizard, and what it's opting to do now, or offering to do, is to go ahead and check for updates for us. And I want to show you where you do this all the time. So this is certainly convenient, and normally when you're comfortable with pfSense, you probably would just click it here. But the other place that you go do it is on the system. Actually, you go here. Okay, this is a one-time. You say, Randy, you went there too fast. I'll do it twice so you can see. So we'll go ahead and accept it. This is just explaining that Netgate is the parent company, and we're not going to take the survey. That Netgate is the parent company, and that they are the ones who manage the pfSense project. Okay, you can also go ahead and remove this if you like, the Netgate advertisement. what I went to do is we were in the wizard, and so wherever you are, let's just go somewhere else here. Wherever you are in pfSense, to get to where you can check for updates, go over here and click on pfSense. This takes you to the dashboard, and then come down here and check for. You click this right here, and it'll go out and check and see if there's a newer version than the one that you have installed. Okay. Another thing that we want to do before we quit here. Well, first of all, if you need to, go ahead and pause the video because what we've done is we've done the basic install and the firewall is now fully functional. If we look at our Windows 10 machine here, we've got connectivity. We should be able to ping and trace route. And I will test all that before I consider my firewall done. But what the firewall, its state now is that it acts like any default firewall in that if traffic comes into it from the LAN side, it will go out and it will service the request and allow the replies to come back. If traffic attempts to come in from the WAN side that's unsolicited, that wasn't requested from the LAN side, it will block that. So what you have right now is you have pfSense in its default configuration, which is like pretty much any other firewall that you buy, plug in, and connect. Okay. What we need to do is we need to install VM tools. It's running under VMware, and it will run better once we install VM tools. Now it doesn't have the same VM tools install like we did with our Windows machines. It doesn't have that. It has a custom one. To get that, what we have to do is we have to go up here to System. We go to Package Manager. We go to Available Packages, and it's called Open VM Tools. It's right there, Open VM Tools. And we just go ahead and click on Install and Confirm. Now the fact that we were able to check for our version, the fact that we were able to go out and look at packages, the fact that we're downloading packages, you should feel pretty good about the work that you just did because it means that pfSense is working, that your installation was complete. The other thing that we would do, and I won't take video time to do this, but I'm going to open my command prompt and I'm going to do ping and trace route. I'm going to do those things just to verify that pfSense is good to go. So at this point, unless we come up with some trouble that we need to troubleshoot on, and if we do, I'll add another video. But at this point, we've installed our 4 Windows machines, DC1, Server 1, Windows 10, Windows 11. We've fully updated those. We've renamed them. I will move my DC1, Server 1, and Windows 11 over to CorpNet. Once I verify that CorpNet is healthy, and because PF1 is healthy, I'll move those virtuals over and verify ping, traceroute, and so on. And what we're at then is we're at kind of like like phase 1 is done kind of a thing. And so in phase 2, we're going to start configuring services. First, we'll do a review, and then we'll start configuring services next week. We'll do a review and just double check that everybody knows what should be done and has got everything done, and then we'll move into installing some services to support this network that we're building. Okay, so if you don't see a part 4, then that means that I didn't come up with anything else we needed to do with our installs. That was our goal this week, was to get these machines, these virtuals installed. And then I'll see you then as we move on to review and then start doing some configuration within our virtual world. So way to go, nice work. I'll see you in the next video.